This is video 303 for IM2, Module 4, Topic 1, Lesson 1 notes. Our learning target for this video is I can multiply polynomials. All right, so multiplying polynomials. It starts off with something you already know, the basics. You have 7 multiplied by 3x minus 5. All right, you've seen this before. You think distributive property. It's simply 7 times 3x, which is 21x, and then 7 times negative 5, which is negative 35. You can also think of this as a generic rectangle. This would be a 1 by 2 generic rectangle. And so the 7 would go here, and the 3x minus 5 goes here. And it's the area model, right? Length times width, so 7 times the 3x is how you got the 21x. And then the 7 times the negative 5 is how you get negative 35. And you write it out. Okay? That's a real basic one. How about when we have a binomial times a binomial? So you have 8x minus 3 multiplied by 4x plus 1. Now, how do you know it's multiplication? If there's no operation sign between parentheses, we know that means multiplication. So be careful. If there's a plus sign here or a subtraction sign here, then you know it's addition or subtraction. Okay, this tells us it's multiplication. All right, so I could do double distributive property, but a nice way to do this to set up a generic rectangle is a 2 by 2. So we set up a 2 by 2 generic rectangle. I'm going to put the 8x minus 3 here, and the 4x plus 1 here. Doesn't matter which side we put each one. And now we just multiply, right, like a rectangle, length times width. So 8x times 4x is 32x squared. 8x times 1 is 8x. Negative 3 times 4x is negative 12x. And then negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. And then you need to write it out. So don't keep it in a generic rectangle. So you write this out, and we combine like terms here. So you're going to have 32x squared. Negative 12x plus 8x is negative 4x. And then minus 3. Some of you are not big fans of generic rectangle. You prefer to do distributive property. The way that would work is you go here. 8x times 4x, you'd write 32x squared. And you go 8x times 1, you'd write down 8x. And then you go negative 3 times 4x, you write down negative 12x. And then you go negative 3 times 1, and you write down negative 3. So you have 4 terms here, and then you combine like terms, you get down to the trinomial. Okay? Let's just talk about multiplying variables real quick. So x squared times x to the third. Well, that gives us x to the fifth. So we're multiplying, but we add the exponents. That's a shortcut, but why? Let's understand the why. So x squared means x times x. If I multiply that by x times x times x, which is x cubed, you see how I get x to the fifth? Remember, exponents are just repeated multiplication of the base. So our base is x, and we multiply it 5 times by itself. All right, so that's our rule. So sometimes people get confused with that. When you're adding, subtracting, you can only combine like terms. So we wouldn't be able to add an x squared and an x cubed. They'd be separate if we were adding. All right, let's do another example. Let's do a classic. The classic that students can do the binomials, multiply the binomials, and they'll miss this one on the test. 50% of the class will miss this one, while 90% of the class will get this one right. Okay? So let me show you what I'm talking about. 7x minus 11 as a binomial square. Okay? What does this mean? Well, here's our base is 7x minus 11. The exponent's 2. So what this means, and what you need to understand, is that this means 7x minus 11 multiplied by 7x minus 11. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and multiply that. 7x minus 11, 7x minus 11. All right, 7x times 7x is 49x squared. If we were doing the rainbows, there you go. Then 7x times negative 11, that's negative 77x. That would be this one. Then it's 7x times negative 11, which is another negative 77x. That would be this one right here. And then negative 11 times negative 11 is positive 121, which would have been this rainbow there. So now we write it out. I'm going to have 49x squared minus 154x plus 121. Okay? Now, where do students mess this up? I put this on a test, a multiple choice test. A classic answer on the multiple choice test is going to have 49x squared, and it's going to say plus 121. Something like that. What are people doing wrong when they see that answer and they look at this? That's right. The mistake people are making, don't do this, is they're just going, oh, 7x squared and then negative 11 squared. But no, you understand now that this means 7x minus 11 times 7x minus 11. All right, and that's why you need to have the negative 154x in here as well. Okay, so this, no good. All right, let's do one more. I like the generic rectangle. I will mention real quick in the video, FOIL. You might see in other videos, you watch other teachers, they talk about FOIL. And what that stands for is only works with multiplying binomials. And it stands for you multiply the first terms, then the outer terms, then the inside terms, and then the last terms. Well, we just did that with double distributive property, so I'm not a big fan of talking about FOIL in my class, but you might hear that somewhere else. So that's what FOIL stands for, and it's good for when you're multiplying binomials, that's what it works for. But what I don't like about it, and why this method will always work, is what if I'm multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, or some other situation, scenario. You can't use FOIL. So let's do our last example. Let's do a 2 by 3. Let's go binomial 2x minus 7. We're going to multiply that by 3x plus 3x squared plus 8x minus 5. All right, let's do a generic rectangle. This time, I'm going to set it up as a 2 by 3. So 2x minus 7 and 3x squared plus 8x minus 5. All right, here we go. 2x times 3x squared. Well, again, this is x to the first power. So that's going to give me 6x to the third. That would have been doing this. Okay? Then I'm going to go 2x times 8x, which is going to give me 16x squared. And then I'm going to go 2x times negative 5. 2x times negative 5 is negative 10x. All right, double distributive properties. Now I'm going to multiply negative 7 times 3x squared, which is this box. Negative 7 times 3x squared, negative 21x squared. Then I'm going to multiply negative 7 times 8x. That's this rainbow here. So that's going to be negative 56x. And then I'm going to multiply negative 7 times negative 5, which is this side times this side, which is positive 35. That's why we call it generic rectangle, by the way, because you have negative numbers here. We know in real life you can't have a side length that's negative. So it's just a generic rectangle. It helps organize our work. All right, so if I did it this way, oops, well, that's kind of cool. If I did it this way, I would have had 6 terms written out. I do a generic rectangle, I got the 6 terms in a box. So now we have to combine like terms. So this one, we know our answer is going to be 6x cubed, and then I have 2 terms that have x squareds. So negative 21x squared and 16x squared is going to be negative 5x squared. Then my x's, I combine these two. Negative 56x and negative 10x, which is negative 66x. And then finally, my constant is plus 35. So I multiplied a binomial times a trinomial. I ended up getting a 4-degree polynomial. I shouldn't say 4 degrees. That's a mistake, sorry. 4 terms in my polynomial, right? Term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. And the degree is 3. The highest power is the degree. So it's a third degree polynomial. It's got 4 terms. The lead coefficient, if you will, is going to be 6. All right, that's it for multiplying. Thanks for watching and taking your notes.